World's Your Oyster.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to World's Your Oyster, and I'm your host, Paula Sanders, here to empower the dreamers and the doers. Whether you're looking for inspiration, motivation, or just need a little hot, rich anti-pep talk, then you are in the right place, because every week I am sitting down with some of New York City's biggest, boldest, and brightest lights to remind you that the world is truly your oyster. So let's dive right in. Welcome back to World's Your Oyster, and we have a very special treat today. We have one of the most beautiful women in the world who is nothing short of an inspiration. Today, I am sitting down with Sharina Gutierrez. Sharina Gutierrez is a model. She started modeling at a super young age, came up in the industry, and came of age in New York City during some rough and wild times. She is a Sports Illustrated rookie. She also became a rookie after having 2 children, which is just like mind-blowing if you think about it. Like Sports Illustrated swimsuit model after having 2 children. Wow. She is not just beautiful on the outside, but she is gorgeous on the inside. She does nothing but spread love and light, both in person and online. She's an incredible follow on Instagram. She has such an inspirational story. So I'm so excited to welcome her to the show. You are all going to love her. Sharina, welcome to World's Your Oyster. Well, Sharina, welcome to World's Your Oyster.
Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful to be here, everyone. This production is insane.
We stepped things up this season. She was ready for a full zhuzh, you know?
I mean, she stepped it all the way to another level. This is amazing. Good job, babe.
No, thank you so much. And it really means so much for me, for you to be here with me today, because you and I feel like we met at a fashion event, and it's very rare that you really connect with someone at these events, because we all got our own reasons for being there. We all kind of want to be in, we want to be out, we want to move on to the next thing. But I was drawn to you. We saw each other from across the room. We had the short hair connection. And then it turned out that we were sitting next to each other.
Yes.
And we had mutual connection. And then we learned a bit more about each other. You're spiritual.
A great dancer.
You're a great dancer. You're super spiritual. I'm super spiritual. You're sober. I'm sober. And it just kind of, and we're both pursuing our dreams.
Yes.
While doing
happiness.
Exactly. While doing a million other things. Mm-hmm. So I'm so excited that this kind of manifestation, because we talked a lot about the podcast that night, is finally coming to reality.
Yeah. I mean, I remember sitting right next to you, just exchanging names, and one thing led to another, and we were just talking about our dreams. I think the question I asked you was what is your dream?
You did.
Yeah, that was the question.
You did.
That's how I get to know people.
Yeah. And
on a deeper level.
Which is amazing.
Right away, just right out the bat. Tell me your dream. How can I help?
But we all should be asking ourselves that so much more frequently than we actually do. And if somebody didn't ask me that question a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I wouldn't be here today. Exactly. And, there's no denying that you have such incredible outward beauty, but you are even more beautiful on the inside. And what I learned through getting to know you over the last few weeks I was preparing for this is that journey to really believing in your inner beauty was not a straightforward one.
No.
And it was a really long journey. Exactly.
Sometimes
Correct.
Yeah.
And, as someone that just presents as so outwardly confident and so in touch with their spirituality and femininity, I'm so intrigued to learn more about this journey. And you started modeling at 12, 13, first job, Italian Vogue, right? Mm-hmm. So we're in and out of this industry for almost 2 decades now.
Yeah, over 2 decades. I'm 34.
34.
So I started when I was 12. Yeah.
A mama of 3.
I'm a mama of 3.
Which is just so incredible.
Yeah, sometimes I look back and I'm like, wow, I'm still doing this. I literally flew here to New York and still doing this, and I'm really blessed.
Yes.
Really grateful.
Now, being that you entered that industry at such a young age, I would really love to know, how did this early experience in the fashion world shape your perspective on beauty, on your self-worth, and most importantly, on your confidence?
That is a great question. And I'm really grateful that you're asking this question because I think that it's so important for the newer generation that's like coming into this industry to be really self-aware of themselves, and that this industry should not define who you should be in the world. That you should be paving like, your own light, your own uniqueness. When I was 12, I begged my mom to do this. Often, through the journey, she was like, this is the worst decision that I ever made. But now she's like, I totally get it. Being 12 years old, obviously, it's like, it's going to be a challenge, especially for a Filipino mom to let her daughter do something completely outside the box. She wanted me to be a nurse. Is that shocking or what?
No, not shocking, but this is certainly not nursing.
Yeah, so totally like I'm the black sheep of the family. My brother is a biomedical engineer. So I am definitely not that.
Yeah.
And he is a genius. I love you, bro. But I just, since a young age, always did what I wanted to do. And I was going to figure out how to do it. If my mom wasn't going to be on board, I was going to, put together a presentation and show her why it is a great idea to let me do this. And that's basically what I had to do. At 12, she wanted me to do it because she was like, hey, like, they have etiquette classes in this place. Maybe you could take that, because I was very much like a tomboy and not.
Oh, that's so funny. So this starts as a lessons in etiquette.
Yeah. So she was like, totally, you can do this, but you have to do this. Long story short, I never actually did the etiquette classes. And I just went full force because I ended up getting scouted. They sent me to New York, and then I did this huge thing. I mean, you would think that a child that is so willing and so pushing would have all the confidence in the world. And actually at that age, I really did. When I look back at it, I'm like, wow, like I really knew that I was going to go there and win. And I think there was 3,000 other candidates, and I won at the age of 12. And it was crazy. It was like, it's this, back then, it was this thing called IMTA. I'm not sure. They still have them now, but like Ashton Kutcher was found there, and like
Giselle also won a modeling competition, I believe, right? Or no, sorry, Heidi Klum. It's Heidi Klum.
So they back then, this was like a huge thing. All the agents would go there, but my mom did the smart thing. She did what she needed to do. Thanks, Mom. But she, all these New York agencies wanted me right away at 12. And I remember like my dream agency at the time was IMG, and they wanted me at that time. And they still remember me till this day from that day. Isn't that crazy? But they were my mom was just like, you're just way too young to be going to New York. Anyway, so like through that, like coming into the agent, like to the world of modeling and being so confident and green at the time, because I didn't know anything.
Right.
Just going in like, oh, I'm going to do something fun. And then being exposed to the world and, getting your first no. Because in the beginning, it was like, yes. Like the first job they put me out for was for Italian Vogue. I booked it. Then it was like all these magazines I was booking. And at the time, it was like Lucky, Allure, Glamour. The 90s and early 2000s magazines where magazines were a thing.
Charlotte Russe.
Yeah,
I
did all that. I was like commercial queen, editorial queen. Killed it, shot with some of the most amazing photographers. But in between those things, I got my first no's. Like, even though I was being so successful, but I remember looking back now that those no's were so significant because I thought like I wasn't enough. Like if I wasn't getting it, I'm like, what am I doing that's wrong? And then I would compare myself to a lot of these other girls that were getting it, that weren't my ethnicity. At the time, I was, there was a handful of us Asian girls that were actually in the scene. So if they needed an ethnically ambiguous girl, I was going to get it. Like one of us, we were going to get it. I was like the first ever Asian Hollister girl because, at that time, Hollister went through a whole thing. And I'll never forget that. That's when I shot with Bruce Weber. He shot me for like, like Ralph Lauren and a bunch of other things. But like being in that world, I realized at that time, I didn't realize how insecure I was. Like I went in super green, super confident. And with each no, and each time somebody told me I couldn't cut my hair, or that I had to dress a certain way, or why was I 18 and puffy? Because I remember when I was going to meet Victoria's Secret for the first time, I went to New York and I was having fun. I was 18 years old.
Blame you. I'm like, who can blame you? You're 18.
There was no iPhone FaceTiming at that time. My mama didn't know what I was doing. I'm just kidding.
And there was no iPhones out, so you could do whatever you want and not get caught.
Like there was, but you couldn't FaceTime.
Yeah.
You called and then that was that, Like, okay, mom, I'm going to sleep. And then, I didn't hear my phone because it was, now you're like, where are you at?
Yeah, GPS.
Show me your FaceTime. Tracking. But like going through the process and like really dissecting like how I was in each phase it's remarkable to see like the growth where I am today, because I went from being super confident to, hanging out with elite and like the top of the top, but feeling like I wasn't worthy enough to be there. And then just like really comparing myself. I think it really hit me when I had booked this Reebok job. I remember at the time I was with DNA, and DNA called me and they were like, hey, you booked the Reebok campaign. I was like, oh, cool. Because I do a lot of fitness and do a lot of different things. I fly there and like before I walk in, they start miking me up. I'm like, oh, this is like on another level, Reebok. Okay. Like, I wasn't expecting this. And then I walk in and they're like, hyping me up, like, Sharina, how does it feel to be in a campaign with Gigi Hadid, Tiana Taylor, Ariana Grande, Ray Shmurda? And I just kind of froze because I had no idea I was walking into that.
Right.
It was like all them and then me. And that was my exact thought was, am I in the right place? Like, you sure you booked the right person? And that was my confidence level then. Can you imagine that? Mm-mm. Like, I wasn't in the mindset of like, oh, I deserve to be here because I deserve to have a seat with these people. It was more so like, are y'all sure you got the right Sharina?
No, I resonate with that so much because I grew up dancing competitively. Yeah. I was also a professional dancer for so many years. I had been auditioning for things for my entire life, starting 13 years old. And I had been told no so many times in my life. And I feel the same way that you felt, is that I never felt good enough because of those no's that were in between a lot of yeses as well too. But you always remember the no's. And I think significantly, you actually will forget the jobs. Memories. You'll forget the jobs that you did. You'll forget the jobs that you booked. You'll forget the incredible things that you've done, but you will always remember that person that told you no, that told you weren't talented enough, that told you weren't beautiful enough, told you that you weren't tall enough, told you that your body wasn't good enough. And you carry those things with you. And it's really taken me, I'm a little bit older than you. I just turned 37. I didn't start feeling really confident in myself until I was about 32, 33 years old from all of that rejection. But now, being on the other side of it, I'm so grateful for those rejections because it made me tough as nails and it really made me fight for the things that I know that I'm good enough to do now, the things that I know that I'm capable enough to do. So how do you feel now being on the other side of it? Like, are you grateful for those no's that you received? And like,
I am so grateful because like now I'm looking back and I'm like, God saved me from a lot. He saved me from myself because at the time I wouldn't have appreciated it the way that I appreciate it now. And two, like, I don't know how I would have handled that fame at such a young age. Like, I remember, I'll never forget this, Mom. This is a core memory of mine. I was 15 years old and I got requested to do a potential exclusive for Gucci at like 15, 16 years old. And they wanted me to fly to Milan. At the time I had been shooting with David Sims and I did like, I think 7 seasons of United Colors of Benetton. And back then, like that was the jam.
It was very cool.
That was like the cool stuff.
Upscale.
Yeah, I was many different characters with them because they love to do different characters. And I loved it because If anyone knows me, knows I love to play dress up. So that was like a dream. And he was a dream to work with. Hopefully we could work together again in the future in this newer version of myself, because that would be really cool. But that core memory, that specific no, I think it really saved me. And I've never talked to my mom about this. So Mom, if you're listening, that specific no, I'll never forget that, because I came home from school and she told me, she was like, she always talks to me about like the jobs that I get and if I should go get them. And she's like a realistic mom who is taking care of 3 kids, one with a disability. My sister has Down syndrome, my older brother, and I'm the youngest. And the reason why she also let me do it is because I could help financially, like with the family. Because she had a lot on her plate with the 3 of us. And she told me, she was like, we would have had to go out of pocket, which we probably didn't have the money at the time to go to Milan for an I don't know, you know? And basically, I remember I resented her so much for so long for that, because I was like, I could have been like some crazy supermodel. But I realized that no saved me, because I would have had no idea how to have handled being an exclusive model and bust into the industry and at like that kind of a level at like 16, 17 years old. I think I would have been so lost.
Crash and burn.
And I was already like, and now I'm like this, you know? Now I'm up here. I'm like, yay.
And I definitely want to brush upon that, because I know you're having like a renaissance right now. But before we get to your new version, I just want to talk about the old version a little bit, because I think that like, who are we without our scars? And that's another piece of you that I really resonate with. Obviously, you know, we're both sober-ish, you know, now, but I too, very similar journey, started drinking at a really young age, dabbling, doing my things. And, you know, I really was done with that by the time that I was 30 years old. And you come to New York, you're young, you're living the fast life, and you have been really vocal and not ashamed to talk about that. And I think that so many people are, especially now that you are on this like enlightened journey of, you know, really just bringing nothing but positivity into the world. So I would love to know, like, what was the most difficult moment for you that really got you to realizing that you needed to make a change in your life?
I was self-sabotaging myself like one moment after another. And I just thought I was like invincible. One, because I just didn't know better. At the age of like 17, I started coming to the city by myself without a chaperone because it was too much for my mom. And then like basically raising myself. I started to live in London, started to live in Milan, and like thought I knew everything. Didn't know shit. Still don't know anything.
We know a little.
We know
a little.
We have a lot more learning. You know, when they say, oh, I know everything. No, you have so much more to learn.
So much.
And I'm on that learning journey. I'm totally receiving from life. And I'm so grateful for it every day. Those moments were just like, I feel like moments that just kept piling on to each other. I got pregnant with my son at a really, really young age. I was 20, had him at 21. Then I had to...
Which, think about it, she's a model, right? So to have a baby at 2021, that's like right in your prime...
Quote unquote prime time.
Yeah, prime time. So
not anymore, honey.
Not
prime
anymore.
time has gotten a little older.
But like mentally and emotionally, when you found out that you were pregnant, were you devastated? Were you freaking out? Did you think that this was going to be the end of your career?
I was freaking out because I was like, okay, I... didn't finish school because I went straight into like modeling. Like, you know, not a lot of people get as blessed. I'm very, very grateful. God blessed me with the career that I had where I didn't have to worry about any of that. I just went straight catapult into like a fast career that was paying at the time like 4 times the amount of what the day rate is right now, you know? Like back then it was a lot more and you had a little bit more luxury than what it is now. But then it was, I mean, imagine your young child making like ridiculous amount of money. And then
I've been going buck wild.
Oh yeah. I was like, it's my money. I could do whatever I want. I'll buy you a hotel, a room, and let's go fly there. Oh my God, I was crazy. But
Imagine if you would have saved and invested that money.
So we're going to get to that.
Okay, great.
We're going to get to that. My mom was definitely, luckily she was a saint and like really saved some of it on the side.
Good.
Because she was like, oh man, like she doesn't realize what she's doing.
Right.
And I didn't, because I was hurting. I was like, trying to project on the outside that I was someone that I really wasn't in the inside, because I was too afraid to like know who I was, because nobody ever like wanted me to be me. I had to be who everybody wanted me to be. So at one point, I didn't even know who the hell I was.
That's a journey.
Everyone that everybody wanted me to be, not Sharina. I was like the supermodel. I was, the one hanging out with the celebrities. I was the one with the black cars and the tables and the blah, blah, blah.
The fun girl.
The fun girl. Like, if you wanted to have fun, you'd call Sharina. And then in the midst of all that, I had a kid. And I remember the day that I found out I was pregnant. Easter, I believe I found out on Easter Sunday, yo.
What a day.
What a day. I remember that weekend I came to visit my mom and I was just like, wow, I just feel so sick. And I was in the car and I was like, your driving is like the reason why people call Asian drivers. And she was like, no, maybe you're pregnant. But she jokingly said it. And then I thought to myself, oh my God, I don't think I've had a period in this past month. So I told her to take me to the thing, and I bought it without her without telling her. And I went to the bathroom and I did it, and sure enough, it came out positive. I called my best friend since I was kindergarten, and I told her first. I was like, yo, how of all days, she dropped everything with her family to like drive up to be with me from Riverside, California to LA, because I had moved from there to LA. And we broke it to my mom, and basically like, at that time you had the choice to either have an abortion or to go on with pregnancy. And literally I heard like this voice in the back of my head that was like, are you going to give up on something, on someone's life, just because it's going to make yours harder? Mm. And I was like, I knew at that moment when I found out I was pregnant that I couldn't do it. There's no way that, like, there's a reason why God was putting this child in my life. So I ended up getting pregnant, and I remember like going through the roller coaster of like, is modeling still gonna be for me? Like, I am an idiot. I didn't finish my studies. I didn't do these things. And now I'm responsible for this child that's growing in me. And like was with my high school sweetheart at the time, whom when I was pregnant, I was like, am I even supposed to be with this person?
Right.
But because being Filipino, coming from a Catholic like religion, like you're gonna try, because that's what you're like told to do.
Yeah.
So I tried, and I put my big girl pants on. I bought him a ring. I bought him a ring, yo.
You proposed.
I remember, I'll never forget. It was like black diamonds with white diamonds, like lit. And I proposed. I had balloons and posters, and I proposed. I was planning a wedding, like literally.
While you're pregnant?
While I was pregnant.
Wow.
And I was like, what am I even doing? I'm 20 years old. Like, what am I thinking right now? Like,
were you in love?
I was, what I knew what love was at that time.
Okay.
That I was in love with him because that was what I knew at the time.
Right.
And, we ended up having the baby, and then just realized like, he wasn't mentally where he needed to be, and I wasn't mentally where I needed to be. And I shortly knew right after having Mason that relationship wasn't going to go. Mm. And it was like one of the hardest times, because we did not see eye to eye. And I really wanted to be with Mason. But, at the time there was some jealousy things that were happening, and like not so aware things. So it made life a lot harder for me to be with my son. Mm. And although I tried we both tried in different ways. Jealousy got in the way of many things. And then there was just a point where immaturity came, and he just didn't let Mason. So when that time happened in my life, that's when my life started to spiral. Because right after having my son, my career popped off again.
Hey, my pearls, did you know that electrolytes, creatine, and collagen are the ultimate hack for looking and feeling amazing? That's why I am so excited that we have partnered up with Harlow. Harlow is a fab 3-in-1 performance-enhancing drink that is packed with natural electrolytes for hydration, collagen for radiant skin and joint support, and creatine to fuel your muscles and boost your cognitive function. Plus, it's sugar-free, gluten-free, and it tastes amazing. So I know what you're thinking. Creatine? Really? Yes, really. As women, we often overlook or are scared of creatine, but it's crucial for boosting our energy and endurance. It also plays a vital role in muscle recovery and helps maintain our overall strength as we age. As a woman juggling a full-time job, a podcast, and a million things in between, I do not have time to waste feeling tired, sore, or not at 100%. And that's why I never miss a day. And I can genuinely say that Harlow makes a difference. Whether I'm sipping it after solid core or enjoying it as a pick-me-up during a busy afternoon, Harlow keeps me hydrated, glowing, and ready to tackle whatever the day brings my way. To hydrate and elevate your wellness with me, visit www.drinkharlow.com and use the code Oysta20 for 20% off of your first order. That's www.drinkharlow.com and use the code Oysta20 at checkout for 20% off. This episode is brought to you by Stellar,
a global marketplace where you can buy and sell exclusive assets with just a few taps. I'm Ella, your new best friend, and I'm here to show you around. When you first open the app, you'll land on the Discovery feed. Up top, there's our search bar. Use it to hunt down your dream experiences. And if you need to narrow it down, our filter feature has got your back. While scrolling through the Discovery feed, if you see something you like, tap on a listing for more details. Need a hand? Just look for me, and I'll be right here to assist you. Thanks for joining us on Stellar. We can't wait to see what you discover.
This is the crazy part.
Give
it
birth,
got even better.
And then your career gets better. Okay. So always blessed and highly favored.
Yeah,
that's for sure. So pops the
was
baby out and is now like back in Milan.
Yeah, but I was like scared because I was like, this maybe it's not meant for me. And then I remember my agent, Anahit at the time, I love you. She was such a great agent. I remember her telling me, this will be here for you when you come back. Don't worry. And I'm like 21, hearing this from basically she was my mama at the time in the industry. Had Mason, took time, 3 months off, then got back into it. Of course, they were like, you need to make money. So I started to do all the commercial stuff. So I started booking all the commercial things, Kohl's, Macy's, Target. That had me going. So I could be able to do the other things. Then when I hit 24, SI called me out for the first time. I remember that, came out. That was actually the same trip that I met my partner that I'm with now. I met him on that trip.
Okay, so Sports Illustrated calls you. You go where?
I go to New York from LA, and I got a no. I got a strong no. It wasn't a strong no.
Do you know why now or no?
I just wasn't confident enough, and they're like a beast, So it's like I wasn't having anything going for me besides being on fight or flight mode to support my son.
Right.
Like I didn't have the ambition to think farther than what's in front of me right now.
Your story wasn't developed enough.
It was not developed enough. I was very, very young at the time.
But you met your man. How?
But I did. I made it to the top level of voting, and then I just didn't make it fully through at the time because it wasn't my time yet. And then I met my man because we have a mutual best friend. He lived with him. They have a 2-story in the West Village, very chic.
I was gonna say very chic.
And then or in the meatpacking district. My friend called me. Given he's gay, okay? So I'm fresh out of having a son. I'm not trying to have a kid anytime, or a man anytime soon.
Are you with baby daddy still or no?
Ending things.
Yes, ending things. Okay.
My son's about to be 1 year old soon, and I'm just getting back into the feet of things. And
wait, I'm sorry. You did Sports Illustrated. Your son wasn't even 1, so you were full bikini body in.
Oh, I was like, right after, I was like, if I'm going to make, I got to make money. So I was
What
like
did you
in
do?
grind mode.
Like, what did you do?
Working out every day, cut
What
carbs.
was the regimen?
Like, just eat healthy. Like, I'm not I could never be the type that will starve.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Okay.
I'll go work out.
Yeah.
Well,
same.
at that time, because I was healthy mindset, all of that at that time. Because remember,
right.
I
So
was a
you're
roller
on a
coaster.
great place. You're on a good plateau right there. Like you're
yes,
not
and
drinking, not smoking, not doing
the
any
ego
of the
was
other.
not there.
Yeah.
Very humbled by my son, all of those things. And then I come to New York, got a taste of New York again. I'm like, oh, I miss it. And then I meet him because my best friend was like, hey, like, come to dinner. I remember being in my hotel room, like, I don't even have the energy because sleeping sounds really nice right now. And I was leaving the next day and he's like, you promised me and I haven't seen you.
Yeah, just come.
It's just me and a friend. And of course I'm like, okay, like you and your, it's going to be the girls.
Night with the gays.
Yeah. And
which are always dangerous.
And I go, and at the time, my drink of choice was jalapeno tequila on the rocks.
Ooh.
You know the jalapeno margaritas when they were a thing,
Yeah,
like in that time?
Yeah.
He was like, come, we'll pre-drink at the house first, because I haven't been to his place at the time. It was new. And I went. I remember walking in, and like when you walk in, the door's here, and then there's a hallway, and then the kitchen is here. Russ was in the kitchen, so you can't see him from the doorway. And I'm just walking in. Mm-hmm. And there was like a gust of wind that happened. So my hair was like, because I have like long Pocahontas hair. And I look, and my gaydar was just like,
yeah.
I was like, this man is not gay. Like,
no.
Because I got my gaydar on point. And I like looked at Ben. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I know, because I know him so well, that I was like, I know what you're doing. I already knew in my head. And then on that trip, I met him. Obviously, things hit off. But things were so great that he asked me to marry him like a year in. And I mean, imagine I'm like turning 23 years old. I wasn't ready to get married. I did a lot of stupid things. Sorry, Russ. But that's because I didn't have, to me, growing up, I grew up with a lot of trauma when it came to men. My dad was the best dad that he could be because that's what he knew. But it wasn't the best example for me to what a man could be. And I took that with me into that period of time and was like, no man could be faithful. Men are going to leave when they want. This man is faking that he loves me. So I didn't think that his love was real. I did all the things. I cheated, did all those things. Sorry. But that's because I was like protecting myself.
Yeah, you weren't
like,
ready
I was
for
like,
that.
Before you do it to me, I'm going to do it to you. Because there's no way that you love me and my child like that. Like, this is not even your child, And that's when I started to do this. Because my career was going up like this. I ended up going to New York, signing with DNA, but then I started hanging out with the wrong people. All the wrong crowd.
Which seems like the right crowd at the time, though. But
it's not that there were the wrong people. It's like I wasn't the right person at the time mentally to be hanging out with a bunch of people who had alpha energy that I was trying to impress at the time. Instead of knowing who Sharina was and that I deserved to be there, I tried to fit in so much to be there. And that really did a disadvantage to me because, I started like feeling like, Deuce Bigelow, male gigolo. Like I could just date whoever, multiple people, nobody's gonna find out, and I'm cool because I'm doing. Oh my God!
But you were so young. Like
I was so young. I was so lost, and also at the time, my son. I really just wanted to be with him full time,
right?
And I couldn't. So imagine I'm like
you couldn't because you needed to pay the bills.
Well, pay the bills, but also
you.
his dad was just like use that against me of like that jealousy period in time.
Okay, got it.
So I would fly back and forth from LA to New York like every other week to try to see him. And it just got to the point where my bank account ran all the way down. You know, I look like a rich person from the outside, broke from the inside. Like it was just like such a hell of a time. And then, although I was doing like September issue of Vogue, 12 pages, like, you know, like my career, but still not thinking that I reached success. Like still thinking I wasn't worthy enough, still thinking that, you know, like, why me?
Right.
It was always like I was the victim in the situation.
Why do you think you felt that way?
Because I didn't have anyone to tell me that I was enough. Like,
and your voice inside wasn't strong enough to see it, or you didn't believe the voice inside you enough.
Of course, like you have your mom who tells you I love you, but she's also Filipino and like sees you spiraling and in the Filipino culture, like they're not always so loving. You know, you're not always getting the hugs and the kisses. It's more like, don't cry, don't show your weaknesses, be strong.
Yeah.
But when I needed to cry, I needed to freaking break down and do all those things because I was doing it in other ways. I was sabotaging myself in so many other ways.
I relate.
Yeah.
Same journey.
And then it was like one thing after another. Yeah, I just like hit this super, super rock bottom where I was just going out every night. Like I didn't care about my career anymore. I just cared about being in the spotlight, being with the right, like with the
seeing
crowd,
like see and be seen
and the scene, and like just living a life that one I couldn't afford. Trying to get my son like full time wasn't happening.
No.
And then I met Donna Karen, and she opened up my eyes in many different ways. She was like, I remember, I will never forget this. She did this beautiful brunch for me in her Urban Zen location in Los Angeles, her store. And she said, I'm going to hire, you know, I'm going to have my chefs there. You can have the entire store. Who does that even happen to at the time? I was like, cool, Donna cares, let me have your store.
Right, and she doesn't like want anything from you. Like you have to understand, like back in that time, I think when you were going out, like you were going out with big promoters, yada, yada, yada. Like your value to them was bringing beautiful girls.
Well, the celebrities and the people.
The shiny people.
Yeah,
but Donna Karen doesn't need that from you.
No, because she could get that from anyone. But
Exactly.
She was just like, oh, invite whoever you want.
Yeah.
Like
she saw.
And she's the type, at the time she was building her brand because her husband had passed, and one of the things that she promised her husband was that she was going to take care of the nurses in the hospitals and bring healing into the world. So she brought Reiki into a lot of the hospitals.
Oh, cool.
So she like sold DKNY to focus on Urban Zen. And then this is her new baby. But it's all like, you know, her spiritual beliefs and the things that she like has learned through her life and her inspiration and things like that. That sparked the beginning of my like self-love spiritual thing, because now I'm getting like the spiritual mama coming in hot.
Yeah.
And I remember at that time, like I couldn't be around people without drinking. I was like, I needed to be socially drunk or buzzed to be able to be around a group of people, because I would get anxiety. I would get like, I didn't know how to be myself again. I didn't know who the hell I was. I didn't know Sharina. And I remember I was sipping on champagne and I had everybody there, like still some of my close friends till this day, like Christina Milian was there, Ryan Destiny, like tons of people were there. I think I could pull up a photo and show you, but like Seven was there, like a bunch of girls who are hitting it huge right now, Karuchi.
Yeah.
They were all there. And Donna gets up and makes this toast, and she says like, Sharina is such a selfless, caring person who cares so much about, you know, uplifting other people first before herself. Like she will make sure, you become like, that success is yours because she knows that you deserve it. And she was at this most beautiful thing. And I was just like, couldn't relate that she was saying this about me and thinking that that was me.
Right. So she kind of set you on your journey in a way.
Yeah. I was like, I remember doing this in the video, like, stop. Like, you're not that she's bullshitting, but just like, no, I was telling her to like stop with my hand like that because I couldn't comprehend what she was saying. But, like sometimes we do things unaware of like how we are with our gestures or our postures or things like that because we can't, we can't fathom how to receive it. So I was projecting.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, like I'm not ready for all that. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then simultaneously at that event, I had invited this guy, Ryan, to this event. And he at the time became really like a close person in my life. And he was like, you really don't see your worth. Like, you really don't know like who you are. Like the fact that you have all this and you're not seeing any of it. And I ended up getting a reading from somebody, and this is when I knew like the spiritual world was real. Because this guy doesn't know me. These people don't know my backstory.
Right.
It's
Your
not on the
struggles, your
internet.
pain,
Nobody
nothing,
knows
none
that
of
my
it,
dad had strokes and my grandmother had strokes. And basically the guy was like, if you don't stop going down this path of self-sabotaging, drinking every day, harming your body,
like
smoking cigarettes, you're going to end up like your dad and your grandma. And when he said that, I was like,
game over.
Game over. I was like, wait, what did you just say? He's like, yeah. They told me to tell you, you are going to end up like your grandmother and your dad if you do not stop, because that is like the karmic cycle. It happened to your grandmother. It happened to your father. It's going to happen to you because you are the youngest. So what are you going to do? And basically that day, and I will never forget this, the next day, I stopped smoking cigarettes, stopped drinking, became a vegan all in one day, and stopped doing the recreational things that I was doing. And like, imagine.
Party's over.
Imagine like your life is just one way for so many years. And then the next day, you just cold turkey everything. That means everybody around you that you were hanging out with at that time is looking at you like you crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, how can you be up in the club every freaking night, like being the life of the party, at all the after parties, doing these things, on set being the crazy person, and then the next day you're just done. I'm done.
Yeah.
Because I thought of my son. And I was like,
he needs to have
I
his
lost
mother present.
sight of what I was really hurting from. And then this person had told me, like, once you change all this, you won't even have to do anything. Your son's gonna come. Because that's really what I asked in my reading, like, how can I get my son back?
Yeah.
And that was that.
Because your son was with his father at this time. Full
it was
custody,
like how, no, not full custody.
Okay.
Just like, how can I get him full custody? Like, how can he be with me? Not full custody. I never even wanted full custody of Mason because I feel like it's so important for a child, unless there's abuse happening,
right? To be
a part of, the father's life. Like, that's so important to me. So I remember I went cold turkey, and he goes 3 days. 3 days before you could go like into the public, because you're gonna have to go through your detox. And it was so crazy. I went through hot flashes. Imagine, I stopped eating. I'm Filipino, people. Red meat, pork, chicken. We don't know a life without these things. But yeah, at the time I became vegan, stopped smoking cigarettes, stopped smoking weed, stopped drinking, all of that. And 3 days, on the fourth day, I got a call from Noah Teppenberg that he was opening up his Greek restaurant in Noah's amazing. Him and Melissa are such amazing souls.
Yeah.
And I went, not him, this has nothing to do with you, Noah, but like just like the party people that I was around that time, met some of them there, and they tried to give me a drink. And I remember I was like, I'm not drinking. I'm not doing any of that stuff anymore. And the comment that I got made me realize like, none of you give a shit about me. They literally said, let's see how long that lasts.
It's their own insecurities.
Literally told me, like, because I'm trying to make my life better. They can't fathom that.
Yep.
I said, oh, no, I'm good. I'm not drinking. They were like, oh, we'll see how long that lasts. I got, at that point, I was looking around and I could see the white, like a white aura, like not a white aura, but like a gray, small, smoky. You know what I'm talking about? Like haze.
Bad vibes.
Like around.
Bad energy.
So many people that I was hanging out with. And then I was like, holy shit, was I like that? And then I like ran to the bathroom, I remember, and I called like my friend and I was like hyperventilating. I'm like, oh my God, I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Like I cannot be here. Like I told them I wasn't drinking and all of a sudden they were like, let's see how long that lasts. And I was just like, I've been hanging out and giving my energy to people
that don't deserve it,
using me, who wouldn't even care if I ended up in the hospital because they would find somebody to replace me with. I was nothing to them.
Yeah.
And these were people that I were calling like my best friends, people that I were giving my life and my energy to, like just like people where I was just like, wow, like what was I blind to?
Yeah.
And then I started the journey, wanted to really get to know myself, went to the Philippines. 3 months after that, started posting things on the internet. People like my following started to say you're crazy. Because imagine like,
yeah, she's
I'm
like in the
doing
club with the
this,
bottles, and now she's
and
like,
now I'm with the
she's
tribes.
like, yeah, she's in the Philippines, like but that's how it happens.
Yeah,
that's how it happens. It's the same for me.
And there was like a period, like a month, where I wasn't posting anything because I was so insecure about like what people would think of me.
What's the reboot gonna look like?
Yeah, like people are gonna fucking think I'm crazy, but I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm just gonna be me. Like, just do it. Like,
but look how authentically you show up online now and how beautiful that is and what the response, there's not a time where you put a post up and there's not, 30 people telling you that more than 30, like 300 people telling you that they love you and you're so beautiful and that your message, it really resonates with them because like, it all does feel so pure. And you hop online, you're dancing. First of all, this girl can dance her ass off. She's dancing. She's like speaking the word, whatever she's going through, and it's just like, this is exactly what I need. And, so what? You might like lose people in the journey of your change, but like those people were not meant to be on your journey anyway. And you will gain more people that need to see your type of content.
Absolutely.
And it's, I think, I don't know how much of a presence you had before this, rebirth that you've had. But now,
it's definitely changed because I feel like a lot of the people that were like silent there's a lot of silent viewers out there, but like there's like the people that were actively watching and commenting. I had a lot of like comments that were like, you're so fake, all of those things, like blah, blah, blah. Where's this person now? Where's this person now? Like caring about like who I was with. We need to do an episode where we talk about actually what happened in the Philippines. Because that's what changed my life. But that's a whole other field.
We'll come back. We'll have to do a part two. We'll do a part two for sure.
But that was crazy because that's all spiritual. Then I started to see like my following change. I reconnected with Russ, but it wasn't for me to get, like the father of my two daughters. Like it wasn't for us to get back together. I just could feel his energy. Like whenever I would like pray or meditate, like he would come in so heavy, or so not heavy, but so vividly in my mind, where I was taking that as like God telling me, you need to go make amends. Right. You need to go apologize because this person's like holding on to
you and what you did to them.
Yeah. So I did. I remember I was staying in New York with my girlfriend at the time. at my rock bottom of rock bottom. I let go of all my places. Was like, I'm leaving to the Philippines anyways. Like, I'm done. Like, I am done with this world.
Oh.
I am done. I'm going to go find myself.
Yeah.
And
Eat, pray, love.
yes. And he came to meet me and we met at the bar downstairs and he was like, what drink do you want? I'm like, oh, I'm not drinking. And he was, I think that's when he was like, are you faking? I don't know about this, but there was multiple things that happened. And then we went for a walk in the park. I remember he talks about this all the time. He's like, I thought Sharina lost her mind. Because he'd be walking and talking. He'd turn around and he'd see me hugging a tree because he was like ahead of me. True story. True story.
The gratitude.
I was just like, I just got called to like, you need to hug this tree and let go of everything. So it was like, what happened was I feel like I was taking everything that happened between us and I was giving it to the world and saying, you know what, like that no longer exists. So I think that's why I had to hug the tree to let it go. Tree hugging is real.
Tree hugging is real.
Medicine for everyone.
Hot tip from Sharina.
I just listen to like, the things that come to my mind. And because I feel like that there's always the greater that's in there talking to you.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to the Philippines. He met me there and I was like, wow, this man really loves me. He traveled far.
That's far. Yeah.
To be here with me and my son. And I ended up getting pregnant on that trip. So fast. Like God did this like, boom, like fast. And imagine, I didn't think I could get pregnant again. That's a whole other story. But like, I didn't think I could get pregnant after Mason. Because they told me I didn't have like my left tube and like all this because I had with Russ previously before we broke up. I had 2 ectopic pregnancies.
Oh, wow.
So I took that also as a sign at the time that you and I are not meant to be together.
It's not happening.
This is not happening between us. So the world in that aspect, it was just like I went through all these rebirths and deaths in my life where, when you talk about, like from a past life, that is true. When people say, that happened in a past life. Past lives are like in your current, what's going on in your, when you're born. You have so many different chapters in your life and so many people leave you in certain chapters of your life. And they only know you for who you were at that time. They weren't there to read all the pages or see all your growth to be the person that you are today.
Yeah.
So their memory of you is the person that person only is. And because they haven't grown from that space, or maybe they have, because people who grow from that space know that change is possible.
Yep.
And if they can't fathom that, then that's some deeper research in yourself, because you should always understand that change is possible. Even a murderer can be like holy again. Like, because it takes things like that to wake fucking people up. Like, like you could do the worst of the worst. You could be the worst person, but then the next day have like a God moment and realize like, oh my God, that wasn't me.
Right.
Like I didn't even know who I was to any of that. So when I had that wake up moment was when my life really started to change for the better.
Yeah.
And then I had my 2 girls and I just stepped away from, it was like not intentional to step away from the agent, like modeling world.
But you had 2 babies.
The pandemic happened.
2 babies.
Yeah. I had 2 babies for a pandemic. And
she really went for it during the pandemic. But it's not like everybody was working. So honestly, it was like divine timing, right? It's like if there was a time,
know what you want to create. Who are you? What do you want to leave to these kids?
Right.
Like, I started to become me.
Right.
And I'm like, I like this version of myself.
And you're no longer in New York. You have the 2 babies.
Yeah,
we moved.
We moved. We had bought like a 2-bedroom pool camper.
Oh, I didn't know this part of the journey.
Yeah, so I had Lila here. She was born in Brooklyn. was living in off 20th and First at the time, and we just decided when the pandemic was happening that we didn't want to get stuck in New York.
No.
So Lila was about 6 months old. So they were trying to have all the kids like tune into school. Like we were like, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
So we bought a 2-bedroom pool trailer.
I didn't know that.
And traveled with our kids and put our Mason in homeschooling. And then, you know, that started the journey of like, oh, we could totally do this tiny home living.
But you're not in a tiny home anymore.
No, I sold everything.
Yeah.
All my designer things, literally just plaid t-shirt, plaid button-ups, jeans, like
kind of the dream.
You know, country living. And yeah, I just went on this journey. And then after a few years of doing that in the pandemic, then we ended up going to Mexico. That's a whole other story. I helped build the wellness and retreat program for the Fives Hotel in Puerto Morelos and Playa del Carmen, and really like started to learn about like plant medicine and healing through the indigenous communities in Mexico. Ended up getting pregnant with my 3rd child. Then the whole borders closing thing was happening, and I was like, yeah, we can't be over here and get stuck over here. So we came back to the US, ended up having my baby, and we planted roots in Louisiana because Russ is like the Cajun culture reminds me so much of like Filipino culture because it's normal to have like a plot of land and have all your family build there. And also they're just like the nicest people. You could go to the grocery store and like you swear you knew this person for like all your life because they're like, oh, Sha, Mela, baby, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm like, have I met you? Like, it's just, you know, like they're just the nicest people I've ever met in my life.
But it had to be a lot for you to want to come back to modeling, right? Because it seems that you were like living a little bit more of a free life. You have your babies, you have a great love in your life. So what was it that made you want to come back to this thing that was, you know, sometimes great, but also sometimes providing you with some of your darkest days?
I see that's like that. I like that you brought that in the end because it was like that. Like I was just like, oh, you know me so well. I was like coming back into the industry. Like I remember having this conversation. Like I just felt like there was so much unfinished things. Like I left it and I left it so abruptly that I was like, I was so not focused on my dreams that I lost sight of all of them. And I actually, even though I accomplished so much, I didn't finish what I needed to finish.
You also didn't do it in your best possible form.
Exactly. And I just feel like I haven't finished yet. Like there's still things that I need to know.
She's back. I mean,
yeah. So
she's come back with a vengeance.
So
like
when I remember I was in our kitchen. We had just bought our house. I was like, I stopped Russ, grabbed him by the shoulders. I'm like, I need to talk to you. And he's like, Lord, what happened?
Jesus, take the
and
wheel.
I'm there like with tears in my eyes because I'm like coming to the realization that this conversation also means I'm going to be spending a lot of time away from them.
Yep.
So I'm like super emotional because I dedicated my life to being a mom, like full time for 5 years and like, you know, like been breastfeeding for 4 years straight. Like how.
And you're like 32 at this time, right? 32.
32. Yeah. Well, yeah. So
young.
At that time I had been, I was 32 turning 33. So I was holding on to him and I was like, I don't know. He's like, just spit it out. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm meant to be doing this anymore. I don't know if I'm meant to let this go. And he was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, modeling. Get it? And I'm like, I always talk to him like he knows because I feel like
he's in your brain.
He's in my brain, but he's not. And he's like, be a little bit more clear. I'm like, modeling.
Yeah.
And I shook him a little bit like this. And he's like, calm down. He's a Capricorn and I'm a Cancer, so you can only imagine. He's so grounded and I'm like, waterworks.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is all I know.
Yeah.
And he's like, one, it's not all you know a lot of things. And he's like, two, like, I think you're a fool. He's like, if you stop this now, you're an idiot because like you have not given this new version of yourself a chance. Like you're just saying, okay, bye to that and not seeing what's possible with this. And I think that was the wake-up call that I needed because I needed to know that he was on board and that he was...
You had his blessing in a way.
Yeah, like that I needed
you have his support
that and that the support. I remember telling him, I'm like, well, if I do this, you know how I am. When I put my energy into something...
We're going balls
I'll
to the
be
walls.
like, just like I can give up all these things and just have a reason to do it. Like I did that coming back into this.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, we're not taking this lightly. We're going to hire the PR, the this.
Yeah, well, if you're taking away time from your children,
absolutely,
it needs to be time well spent. And you can't just be like willy-nilly about it and wait for the agents to call. You have to do things yourself.
And during that time, I had just been seeing like, Sports Illustrated kept coming into my radar. Like it just kept coming in. And I was with this agency at the time, and I had my long Pocahontas hair, and they were like, "Oh, we're so excited to have you back in the industry." I was like, "Great, but I want to do this my way. Like I'm really happy that you're happy I'm coming back, but I want to cut all my hair off." They were like,
absolutely not.
I was like, I want to cut my hair off and I want to go like really try going for Sports Illustrated again. And they were like, okay, hold on. We have to talk to your clients. I'm like, it just didn't sit well with me that you're not supporting me, like being me. Like I'm going to have to get your approval to cut my hair. I have 3 kids.
Right.
And a dog and a husband. And I'm like,
yeah, I'm doing this my way.
I'm like, you can't tell me I can't cut my hair. Like, what? And then I remember like, I loved my agent at the time. I really loved her. And I just feel like she lost a little bit of the spark of what my light was.
Or she didn't see it at that time.
Or she didn't see it at that time. And maybe she was protecting me, and maybe she was like, oh, you're like, I want you to play it safe because you have a family. So I told her I really want to go for SI. And
that she did.
And then, I was telling her, oh, like my friends have it. I used Melissa, like, she got it and she has kids and like, it's a different world now. And she's like, yeah, but she has influence. And that's when I was like, okay, we are not in the right page. So you're basically telling me I'm not influential enough because I'm not dating
or married to
whatever. And I was just like, that doesn't sit right with me. Melissa got that because Melissa got that.
Right.
Like
she's a bright light and she deserved it.
Do you know like the empire she built? Like that's her success.
Does she know this story?
Melissa?
Yeah.
She will know.
Yeah.
But
she would be mortified, I think.
Yeah, but she would be so proud.
So proud. Yeah, of course.
I feel like she would be like, fuck yeah, go Sharina.
Of course.
So I ended up leaving them and I signed with another agency, told them what I wanted to do and did it. Self-submitted myself for SI because the day that I told them I was leaving, I also went onto SI and saw that, and I never knew you could self-submit yourself. And they had extended it by a week on that day.
What the?
So I was like, well, I'm gonna just do this.
Yeah. And were you able to kind of like tell your whole story?
So the way that I told the story is like, I didn't show my body one time. I showed it from what I was at 12 years old, the party, like my exact journey. I brought them on the journey in like a 1-minute video. And then like, my advocacies and like me becoming the woman I am today. And that's when I got my yes.
Incredible.
And like.
And you didn't even have to put on a bathing suit?
I didn't. Well, not till later.
Not till later.
Like, not till I got my yes.
Because I was going to say, yeah, because like, how did you even feel at that time in your life about your body? Like, because I'm sure having 3 children, like you had to completely re-identify with your body and your confidence and like.
So they're the first people to get me back into swimwear and lingerie, because that's what I was really known for. I was known for my body. And I've learned to love my body for what it is. I feel like I am the most fit that I've ever been because I am the most fit mentally and spiritually. Yep. And it's showing in me physically. And it's not about the abs or this. And, it's like, it was about, like, I actually feel healthy. Like back then, yes, I had crazy body. Like, I was known for this, always booking like all that stuff. But when I look at what my body looks like now and what it looked like then, it just looks so unhealthy then.
Right.
Because I was so unhealthy.
Well, think about mentally. How grateful you are for your body.
I love
what your
my
body has been able to provide.
Absolutely.
To not just you, but to your entire family.
Yeah. And like after having, actually shooting the magazine, like after submitting myself, then getting to the magazine, it was about 8 months. So I was a year and 8 months into having my baby, which you're still
postpartum.
Like postpartum, like takes about 2 years for you to start to kind of feel yourself. And what I love about SI is they really made me feel like the sexiest woman ever. MJ is such an amazing like cheerleader on that set. Everyone from Sev
and you cut your hair.
Oh yeah, by the way,
yeah, she buzzed it.
And it was like not this. This is long. This is the grow up process. It was like this short. Like,
I saw those photos.
Very, very short. And it was channeling like Halle Berry early 2000s.
Yes. Monsters Ball.
Yeah, like short. And she was actually one of my inspirations. Her, Toni Braxton, Winona Ryder, when they all went through that pixie cut phase.
Yes.
And then like Chrissy Turlington, Linda Evangelista, the greats of the greats.
So you manifested it. You made it happen.
So I manifested it, made it happen, ended up shooting with them, felt like the sexiest woman in the world because I know at the time I was because I felt so good. Fast forward in time, now I'm like, I soft launched Mama Mantra. I'm going to be fully launching that hopefully by the end of the year. I have 3 collaborations going on with Mama Mantra that's going to be launching next year.
Mama Mantra is her brand, by the way. Yes. We didn't even get to talk about Mama Mantra. Hardly.
But
we'll have to have you back.
Yeah,
we're going to have to have you back.
For sure.
But just do a little 1 minute thing about Mama Mantra because I would love for everybody to know what it is.
Mama Mantra is an online destination. It's a lifestyle brand for families to come and just experience good content, to buy products. Everything is Mama Mantra approved. We're going to have everything from like merch to jewelry to baby products, beauty products. So think of it as like the family version of Goop.
I was just going to say the family version.
Yeah. And then we're coming out with a series that I'm really excited about showing eventually. And yeah, like that's like a lot of the things that I've been concentrating on, as well as coming here to chase my dreams, you know, like being able to come and sit next to you because, another project took me in. I feel like my modeling life is doing really well with, God's doing his thing and like really like balancing both at the same time. So like I'll come in for one thing and then I'm able to do so many other things on top of that.
And you're also building other things. And I think that one thing that I've learned from my journey is obviously I have a corporate career and then I started building something else on the side. And I felt that once I had 2 things, I was able to kind of divide my energy and feel worth from both places. And I think that it's so much more healthy to come from a place where you feel worth not just in one thing. Yeah. And you also have motherhood, right? So you can feel tremendous worth in motherhood and being a wife and to have your modeling career, but to also have Mama Mantra and all of these other beautiful things that you're building, your online community as well. But when you have your worth, and I think that could have been part of, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but that could have been part of the issue when you were younger and having kind of those low moments is that all of your worth was tied up in modeling. Same with me with dance. All of my worth was tied up into what my last cool job was.
Yep.
And it's not sustainable. It's not healthy. And it's just like, not the way to be your best self. So I think that, everything that you're working on, and, I see it, and everybody sees it, and everybody sees you, you're out there, you are not just showing up online in one way, but when you are in a room, like, your presence is felt, and it's so appreciated. And I know that you're going to do even more incredible things. You've done so many incredible things. So what are you looking forward to most now? We're done with Sports Illustrated. We knocked that off the list. I know that was like the big catalyst into getting you back in to the modeling world. So what are you looking forward to now?
Seeing what else is possible.
Yeah.
Like really connecting with other people. I'm a big advocate on how you meet people for a certain reason. Our stories that. And not being afraid to connect with other people to see what else is possible. Like for me, seeing what else is possible in my modeling career, because I feel like I wasn't brought back into this for no reason. And then, as many times as I've already gotten no's, because people are not used to the short-haired Sharina. So it's like, going through the journey. I still get no's, people, but I am learning how to navigate them better than I did when I was younger. So it's like I have to reliving everything from the past, but from this new version of myself, which is really cool because I'm
giving yourself grace.
Yes, I'm super aware of myself and knowing all happens in divine timing. And then also seeing what else is possible with Mama Mantra, being able to build it to where I give that to my kids one day. And then seeing what else grows.
I love that.
Yeah.
Last question for you. If you could choose one word for your character to be remembered by, what would it be?
Light.
Yes, I love that. And you are.
Love and light. You can't choose one word. It's two words.
It's two words.
3, love and light.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, your story and your journey is so beautiful and inspirational. And I think that it's so important to share the lows with the highs. And, a lot of times we all are comparing our journey to someone else's, defining moments. And we're not really seeing the lows. So I really appreciate you for coming on and talking about those moments,
Absolutely.
even though there sometimes could be hard to talk about. And I so appreciate you. And I've been enjoying being on your journey with you. And where can everybody find you on the internet?
So you can find me at Sharina Gutierrez on Instagram. I'm learning how to TikTok.
Oh, me too, girl.
It's Sharina G. This new generation, it's so hard. Why y'all got to make things complicated? These dances are not a thing.
Yeah.
That's not how we dance back in the day. And what do you call it? I do want to share this because I feel like I also got this message so I could share it with you guys because it happened on the way here from Louisiana to New York.
Tell me.
I was sitting in my chair and I was reading my Bible. I was reading Proverbs 7 at the time because I'm doing a proverb a day, like how to be a godly woman. So proverb a day, 1 to 31. Mm-hmm. And I'm reading this Bible on the plane, and the man next to me, I just hear a voice, God's voice, I'm going to say, in my head, share your snacks with this person next to you. And I'm like, this person's going to think I'm crazy here. You want these? But you know what? Fine, I'm going to do it. So I got my snacks. I was like, hey, do you want these? I offered it to him, and he's like, yeah, but what are you going to eat? And I'm like, no, I'm meant to give this to you. And he goes, I knew that you and I would talk. And I was like, how did you know that? And he's like, because you're reading the Bible. And there's not many women your age that will travel around reading the Bible.
Yeah.
What is that? So he's like, I knew that because I grew up in the church. And he goes, and I'm a preacher. And I'm following my dreams to be an Afrobeat artist, but to preach the word in it.
Wow.
And then he starts, teaching me more about it. Because I'm learning. I don't know anything about the Bible besides what I'm reading right now. And it's a huge reflection. Each psalm, each verse that I'm reading is just like a mirror. Like you're just looking at things that have happened in your life and how to navigate into the future. It's like all like, and I'm not saying become a Christian, go become Catholic, do whatever. Like just be open to learning. Be open to learning. Learn about everything. Learn everything.
Yeah.
And he told me this story, and he was just sharing stories with me, but he didn't realize that it was an actual message that he was giving to me that I feel like I need to give to all of you. He said to me, life is like, imagine yourself and you just really need a job. You're so broke, you need a job, and you need it because it's going to support you, you're going to support your family, you're going to support all these things. And you put 30 applications out there, and each one says no. Are you going to stop applying for jobs?
No.
No, you're not. That's life. Like, you should never stop showing up for your opportunities, for the visions that are being brought to you, because there's so many doors that are going to be open for you all the time, every day, all day, every day. A lot of them are going to say no because God's going to give you the right door, the right person, the right situation at the right time. And it might be like a million no's. And a great way to think of that is like, let's think like Jeff Bezos with Amazon.
Yeah. He was selling books.
How many no's did he get and your crazies did he get? But he just kept showing up.
Yeah.
And that's life and that's faith. Like, if you can just somehow, and I feel like that's like the ultimate success, when you mentally, physically, and spiritually find yourself, you will always find a way because you're going to show up for yourself. You're not going to let yourself fall mentally. You're not going to let yourself fall physically. And you're going to show up for yourself spiritually because you're going to always have faith that something greater is going to happen. And when you do get that no, because it will happen, remember that's a redirection. That's like okay, there's something better out there. And if you can get to the mental space of like, all right, that's cool. That was a great experience, but I know there's something greater out there. You're going to be even closer to like going through that door of like
whatever it is that you're looking for, whatever it is that you want.
Yes. And that's everything. Love, family, business. Like if you could take that mentality into everything, just know that showing up is the most important part, and giving gratitude. You have to be thankful. Thankful for the no's, thankful for the yeses, thankful for waking up every day. That should be the first thought in your mind every day.
100%.
Thank you for this new day. Help me to make it whatever you want me to make it to be. And help me to give myself grace today. And if you can do that, then you're already set up for success. But it's like, it has to become a routine, has to become a part of you, like breathing. So
thank you for sharing that. That was so beautiful. And I actually needed to hear that. So thank you. Sharina, you are light, you are love, you are all of the things. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy to know you. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. And we'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.